Hello, I'm Esther, and today I bring you a question from Carl in Washington, D.C. How do I assert myself as a man without coming across as too forceful? Carl, your question is so critical at this point because it really brings one of the central questions that so many men, and especially younger men, are bringing to me today. You know, how are you assertive without being aggressive? What's the difference? How do you express confidence that isn't arrogance? That isn't a confidence that means the repudiation of the input of others, that your confidence is built on a false sense of independence, in which you know you don't need anybody to tell you what to do, and in that way kind of inhabit the oldest pressures, stereotypes, and assumptions about how you make a man, operating within a realm of hierarchy. Hierarchy means I'm on top, power means top, and my job is to make sure that nobody can come into that. Very different from what we often assume is a network of connections in women, in which it is about bringing in input. You know, a long time ago, there was a book on gender differences by Deborah Tannen. And there was a beautiful vignette in which a guy has a friend coming to town. And he says, oh, I'm in town, can we meet on Tuesday? And he says, yes, of course, let's meet. Then he goes home and he tells his girlfriend, John's coming to visit and I made plans with him on Tuesday. And she said, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ask me? And he says, I don't have to ask you for permission. And she says, I would never make a date without just checking in with you. Why do you think that that kind of checking in a network of connection would weaken your ability to feel like you're in charge and you make your own decisions and you don't need to get anybody's permission? And it was so an encapsulating little vignette about that. So at this point, I think both men and women are asking this very fundamental question. How can men embrace a realm of emotions, of feelings, of interdependence, rather than a false sense of dependence or a forced sense of independence, and still feel man? And how can women compete in the world of men and come home and still feel feminine? We are dealing with something that is much more androgynous at this time. And at the same time, we want to know how far can I enter into the realm that used to be the other and still maintain my own? At what point does it start to feel too threatening? So the first thing is, there is a way for you not to feel that if you say what you want, it means that you're dominant. How do you take in a smart, opinionated partner, man or woman, but let's say a woman on the other side, and not feel that if you listen to what she has to say, it means that you're letting her walk all over you. Or if you're listening to what she says, you're not holding your ground, kind of thing. The ground is moving, Carl, and I really think that that actually is giving you opportunities about experiencing yourself as a man that neither your father nor your grandfather ever had. The fact that as a dad, for example, you are no longer just seen as a material provider, but you actually are seen also as an emotional provider. It is the greatest gift that's been given to men. You know, that you don't just get your value from your dough, that you get your value from your presence, and that your force is not the fact that you were gone all the time because that meant that you were working really hard, but in fact that you can be there, and that gives her the possibility to do other things as well. But all these shifting roles and the value that we assign to these roles is some of the great changes that you're part of at this point. So, you're asking me, how can you be assertive? It's actually not so much how do you maintain yourself as how do you do both and. How do you hold your ground and let somebody else in? How do you take in input and not feel that that means you're weak? How do you let other people give you ideas? How do you ask for help without thinking that that lessens your sense of dominance and power and leadership and all of that stuff? I think the answer is simply not an either or. It's either forceful or dominant or weak, but that you can actually allow for a more open boundary, if you want, in terms of what you let in, and at the same time maintain that groundedness. Assertiveness is actually confidence, and aggressiveness is actually defensive. I attack in order to protect myself. Is not the same as I know what I want and I'm ready to listen to what you have to say, and let's see how we negotiate that. So, assertiveness is a dialogue. Aggressiveness is a debate. So if you want to be assertive, Carl, the first step for you is to welcome dialogue, and you will discover a power you have not known till now.
Hi, this is HireMe-To do this caption service. I'm going to add closed captions in your video content to get more value from your existing video content by appealing to a wider audience. Also, by adding closed captions to your videos, you'll allow more viewers to enjoy your content even with the sound turned off. Welcome and make your cut right away. Thank you.